Hey guys, welcome back to Delta State Skies. Joining me today
Is Jeffrey?
Jacob?
and our guest today, Dr. Lisa Cooley.
Yes.
How are you doing today?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. How was your, did you have a good weekend?
I did. Had a great weekend. How about you?
I had a good one.
Yeah.
That fall break was a nice little
Yeah.
treat.
Yeah.
Went down to New Orleans for
Oh,
a
nice.
day.
Nice. We should have more fall breaks.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So let's just go ahead and get right into it.
Okay.
Take us through the beginning, how you got here as
Yeah.
you.
As me. Okay, so my husband and I came to Delta State in 2013, I think. And at the time, I just taught adjunct here at Delta State, which means I just taught part-time. So I taught marketing classes. And then in my full-time career, I worked at the Chamber of Commerce here,
Okay.
where I was the Main Street coordinator
Yes, I know.
and did public relations and marketing and things like that for the Chamber. And then I started working on my PhD while I was at the Chamber because I wanted to teach full-time. That was always the goal.
Yes,
And they knew that going into when I took the job at the Chamber also. So after about 4 years, a full-time job opened up at Delta State, and I was able to, grab that. And so I joined Delta State full-time in 2017.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I've been here ever since. And so I started out as an instructor of marketing. Once I finished my PhD, I moved into an assistant marketing professor
Yes,
position, and then took on the graduate programs coordinator position when I took that. And then just in the last year, I've taken on also the position of interim assistant dean. So where
That's a lot of positions.
it's a
So
lot,
it's
yeah.
very
So
busy.
it's a lot. So I enjoy all of the different jobs, but it's sometimes a little challenging to manage all of it. So I feel
Feels
like I'm.
like all our guests on here
Yeah.
are typically pretty busy.
They are. I know I listened to Sean Kelly's, and he has 90 advisees, and
I
that's
know.
insane. I have a lot too, and that could almost be a full-time job just advising because, you have other divisions where you have faculty members who have maybe like 10 advisees, and that seems pretty manageable. But when you get up into the higher numbers, and then with that comes a lot of additional responsibilities as well.
So
So
you're not just a number.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
I know
Yeah.
Mr. Kelly, and I'm sure you are too, very
Uh-huh.
invested in
right,
your
right,
student and your advisees.
absolutely, yeah.
Academic.
Absolutely.
prowess.
Well, you become really close to the students that you work with, and when Jeffrey was one of my students, so every time I see him, we visit. But yeah, I mean, and so the same thing with advisees. Like we want the best for them, and we continue to stay in touch with them a lot of times after they graduate. So yeah, sometimes we'll help them find jobs, or maybe they reach out to us after and say, hey, we're looking for employees at my company. Can you help? So it's a really good connection to have, and so
It's just-
definitely fortunate to be able to advise, but at times it's
just never stops networking, really.
never stop networking. And there are just so many opportunities that come from having the opportunity to work around that many students. So, and then with the aviation thing, so I've been doing the graduate programs within the College of Business and Aviation, and that includes MBA, IMBA, and the Master of Commercial Aviation. And that's been really cool because I don't have a background in aviation, obviously. Like I've flown, but that's the extent of my aviation background. So I've learned a lot. Yeah. And I've loved working with pilots. Like
Really?
I think they tend to have a type A personality, and I do too. So we really
Just mesh
get
really
along.
well
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. So
Yeah, you need a certain personality to be a successful pilot.
absolutely. We used to have a joke. The previous graduate coordinator for the school, like the overall graduate coordinator, she would say, I've got another pilot for you. And she'd kind of laugh and roll her eyes. And I would always be so excited because I'm like, yes, my people, So definitely a certain personality out of you guys and girls.
Ni-
So-
oh, 90% of the pilots I've met, because my dad's a pilot, so I get to meet a lot of them, it's like, are you clones?
Yeah. Yeah.
The same person with just different looks.
It's so funny within the different disciplines at Delta State or probably anywhere that you have similar personalities. Like our marketing students are so similar to one another. Our accounting students are so similar to one another. The pilots, our aviation, folks are so similar. So, I mean, you really are just geared towards a certain subject. And if you're lucky enough to figure out what it is that you're passionate about in college, you kind of line up with your people.
Yeah, you just
yeah.
magically find those people.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
really weird.
My brother, when he went to school, he was a chemical engineer, and those were not his people. And so he finished his degree program, and he went to work for Exxon, and he's like, I don't like engineers. He's like, I'm not like them. They're like, introverted and whatever. And so he went back and pursued a second career. But yeah, it's funny how you do have just certain personalities within different, degree fields and stuff. So,
Now, it's always the question of, does the career make that personality?
Yeah.
Or does that career draw that certain personality?
It's a good question, and it could be a little bit of a combination of both, but that could be an interesting study.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, look, next semester when our plates are a little less full.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so you have your degrees, you're a doctor, you've got your PhD, master's, of course, and your bachelor's. Where'd you go for your bachelor's and all these degrees you got? Did you go to Delta State, or were you kind of out of house?
Yeah, so I was out of house. I'm not from Mississippi originally.
Okay.
Yeah, so I grew up in Arkansas and Alabama.
Oh, okay.
And both my parents were actually college professors, and my dad was a dean, and my mom was an MBA coordinator. So I've kind of followed their footsteps, which I never thought I would do. Like when I was in undergrad, it was like, get me out of college. I don't want to ever go back. But I started out at the University of Central Arkansas. So I lived in Conway, like in junior high school, and I just stayed there for school at UCA. My mom worked there, so I was able to get, tuition at,
that's nice.
almost free. I was not a good student. Like I was definitely. And so I think this is another thing that helps me with advisees is that I can kind of get to their level and understand where they're coming from. I'm not ever the smartest person in the room, but I can empathize with people, and I can help. I try to help motivate them. That's one thing that I really try to do. But yeah, so when I was pursuing my bachelor's degree, I wasn't the best student. I went to UCA. When I finished, I thought okay, I'm never going to go back to school. And it was about 10 years later that I decided to go back and pursue an MBA. And my dad kind of talked to me about it. He waited. I had worked for quite a while. And my husband and I actually had moved from Conway to Natchitoches, Louisiana.
Oh.
And I had a great job in Conway. I was the director of marketing for athletics at the University of Central Arkansas. And loved it. It was great. I was making good money, all that. So he takes another job. We leave. And I took a huge pay cut, and it was so depressing. And I had somebody say to me, if you're a woman in Natchitoches, Louisiana without a master's, you shouldn't expect to earn more than that. And I was like, okay, well then I'll just get my master's. I was like, challenge accepted. And so my dad kind of talked to me about it, and I started working on my MBA. So I got my MBA from North Alabama, which that was where my dad was the dean.
Okay, so you just bounced into
Yeah, so I was kind of, yeah. And that was really good because he, I'd bounce things off of him and things like that. It was really nice to. He was never my teacher, but he was always there, to help, commiserate or give me, guidance or whatever. And then I went back and got my PhD almost immediately after I finished my MBA. Okay. I thought I want to teach. I love this. I love the teachers I had at UNA. I thought the MBA was such a good experience because it's very practical and hands-on. So I know that like with a lot of degrees, it's like philosophical and not really practical. So the MBA is a great degree because you can take what you learn and apply it to real life scenarios, right? So I loved that, and that's how I ended up going back.
Seems like a pretty versatile degree as well as far as master's
It
go.
is.
I know you look into schools like Embry-Riddle, and they've got these specifically tailored master's degrees that are only for this job or these specific jobs, whereas an MBA, Master's in Business Administration, everything is a business.
Exactly.
And they've all got administration, and it teaches you and trains you to work in that exact field.
Exactly. And so, I mean, it's important to know how to work in management positions and things like that. And that's part of what it prepares you for. It prepares you, like in a lot of different areas, you get to understand more about financial statements and things like that. It doesn't make you an accountant. You're not necessarily going to be able to keep books, but you're going to have an understanding of how to read financial statements when you go through an MBA program. And then, there are a lot of different classes, and every program is slightly different. One of my favorite classes was a class on business ethics, because I think that's something that's such a crucial part of leadership in any kind of an organization. Like, you need to have a good moral compass. You need to understand ethics and how to make ethical choices and decisions. And they're just really great classes. They do help prepare you. And a good MBA program is going to be just very practical and you're going to be able to apply the things that you learn in real life. So, yeah.
Yes, and then for your doctorate, you said you went back to Conway, right?
I went back to UCA, and so I looked at a lot of different programs. Like I went and visited Ole Miss, and theirs is really great, but I would have had to quit my job at the chamber and be there full time, which was like could have been great. Like, I would work there as a GA, and it would pay your tuition and all that, but it was just not worth the sacrifice. But yeah.
So you were working full-time at the Chamber of Commerce here in Cleveland.
Yes.
And then driving 5 hours to Conway.
I was driving, yes. So this is crazy. And it wasn't that long ago, but it was a fully in-person program. We didn't have a single online class. So for almost 4 years, I would drive. It's 3.5 hours each way. So I would drive 7 hours twice a week and sit in class. And I would go, like, after I got off, I would leave, like, I would skip lunch. I'd come in early, skip lunch, leave around 2 o'clock, get home around 1 o'clock a.m. Yeah, it was a long, and I look back on it and I'm like, I can't believe I did that. Like, that was kind of crazy. Like, I think I probably lost my mind a little bit there, and I feel really bad for my husband. It speaks a lot to his patience that he stayed with me, because I'm sure I was a maniac. But yeah, so it was interesting. I mean, I enjoyed the coursework, I enjoyed the program, but it was a whole lot to take on.
Well, I mean, that marriage vow through
Yeah.
thick and thin, you know,
Yeah.
those vows are there for a reason.
Yeah, and
You're
then
starting to sound like a pilot.
yeah, seriously, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess he owes me because I've moved with him for his job since he coaches. But
That big old pay cut. from
yeah,
earlier.
yeah, I know. I'll never let him forget that. Like, I was kind of the breadwinner when we were in Arkansas, and then took a big reverse on that. But yeah, but when I was doing the PhD, like, he was so great, because we even made a decision that I didn't want to take out any student loans. So we were going to figure it out. So we put our house on Airbnb and rented it out. So that was a whole nother
That's a
part of the,
commitment.
it was a
It's a
commitment.
commitment, but it's good change.
It was good, yeah. I mean, and it literally paid for my school, so I didn't have to take out any loans. But yeah, I mean, again, thinking back, I'm like, gosh, I lost my mind for like a few years there, and poor Todd just stuck with me.
Well, he deals with those football players 24/7.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sure,
true.
Sure that's okay.
That's true. He has
That's
to
a
have
cakewalk.
a lot of patience, for sure. Yeah.
So, wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it was kind of
Drive
intense.
every day for school.
It was, yeah. I listened to a lot of podcasts.
I bet.
bet.
So that
Yeah.
was, yeah.
Probably went through a lot of episodes.
Oh, tons.
Your
Tons.
Spotify
Yeah.
is like top of every podcast.
Oh, insane. Yeah, it was insane how much I listened to. And I would go from like murders to Malcolm Gladwell to murders. I was all over the place, just depending on the mood. But yeah, I'm lucky that I had podcasts available to me to listen to
Yeah.
at that time, because they were pretty new when I was, yeah.
And you were talking about the Airbnb stuff. I've
Mm-hmm.
actually looked into it. I was doing it for a while. We have a camper and we were renting
Oh,
it
nice.
out. But it seems like it's kind of crashing right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My dad
Yeah.
does rental stuff.
Yeah.
Well, if he did rental stuff, and then just everything crashed down, so he
Yeah.
had to sell it all off. It's like,
Yeah.
holy cow.
Well, I mean, the market is kind of adapting. So it was so new at the time that
It
it was,
just exploded.
yeah. Well, and this was also before Cleveland had the Cotton House Hotel or the
Oh,
Lyric
really?
Hotel. And so we knew that there was a demand for rooms and
Okay.
lodging, because I worked at the chamber. So a colleague of mine started doing it, and I was like, you are insane. Like, I can't believe you're letting strangers stay at your house. And every time she would do it, she would make all this money, and she's like, no, they left the house spotless. So then I was like, okay, you're not insane, you're brilliant. And that's how, but yeah.
It's just always that one
Yeah.
really bad.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
one
what
horror story.
We were so lucky that we never had that.
Really?
Yeah.
That was the
we-
horror story. I had
yeah.
a horror story stop me
Did
from
you?
renting my camper.
Oh.
Destroyed water pumps and everything.
No.
No one stuck feces underneath your cushions?
Not. I haven't found them yet. So I think I would have probably smelled it by now, but no, we
Just
were lucky.
fossilized at this point.
But yeah, I think a lot of the reason it's kind of crashing now is because also municipalities have put in regulations against,
Oh, finally.
you know, Airbnb. So you can't always rent in certain neighborhoods. They're trying to help the hotels in some areas. So I
Because
know.
that would kill that industry.
Yeah, definitely. And then some neighborhoods are like, no, we don't want this in our neighborhood. So
Yes,
then
sir.
so that's kind of been part of the reason that some of it's come crashing down. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that evolves. That would be another
Mm-hmm.
good study to do. We've got all these
The
studies.
pesky
Hello.
HOAs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, I guess let's jump into the kind of present right now.
Mm-hmm.
You're our assistant interim dean.
It's a long title.
It is.
Yeah.
But you're also teaching class. How many classes are you teaching right now?
So I'm teaching 3 classes and FYS, but that doesn't, I don't really count that as a class because there's
That's
not
just a bonus.
Yeah. That's a fun thing to do. So yeah, I teach, this semester I have, 2 sections of social media marketing. One is undergraduate, one is graduate.
Okay.
And then I'm teaching sports marketing at the graduate level.
Really?
So, yeah.
Nice.
Well,
So-
that's, yeah.
How many hours do you teach?
So that's a 9-hour course load plus the FYS, which is 10.
So 10 total.
Yeah, I mean, luckily, 2 of the classes are online, and so that requires a whole lot of work on the front end. But if I can work and get it done all summer, which is always the goal, then it's not as
Then
like
it's cruise control through.
yeah, it's just more manageable. Like you still have the grading, you still have things that you have to do, but it just definitely helps because there's no way I could do 9 hours in person right now. Like
I understand
there's
that.
yeah.
And then you guys are you were talking about online courses. I
Yeah.
think you guys are looking at moving a lot of aviation courses online.
We would like to. So within aviation, I know you guys know this, but I don't know that all the viewers will know this, but we have the Bachelor of Commercial Aviation in Flight Operations. And so that's our pilots. So you guys are all in that program.
Yes,
But we also have an aviation management program.
That's this one.
Oh, you're aviation management?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
thought you were a pilot.
No, I don't fly.
Oh, you don't meet the weight
Bless
limit.
his heart. That's a negative CG.
Just kidding. I'm jealous.
No,
That's why.
no. I'm
Yeah.
looking to do safety, actually. I do
Yeah.
have medical
Oh, nice.
reasons, but I'm looking to do safety. So
You know what?
That's-
You've told me that before. Yeah.
you talk with so many people, it's okay.
I'm sorry.
It's
I
okay.
You're a very
forget. I
busy
forget.
person.
You are.
He's very easily forgettable.
So, Jeffrey,
We
it's so
love him.
great.
Sometimes we go to sleep and we wake up and we forget about him.
Aw.
Even
sitting
I
there
do
at the
that.
wall.
He's my roommate.
He's your roommate?
I'm sitting there in the Walmart parking lot like, hey guys, it's 2 in the morning. Come pick me up.
Oh, that's so sad.
We'll get you LASIK one day and forget to pick you up.
So the aviation management program, we are hoping to push that more to be like an online program. Obviously, flight ops is not going to ever be an online
ma'am.
program. We need you to be here so that you can actually fly the planes. But with aviation management, and I know y'all know, but I'm not sure how, what the viewers know, the majority of jobs in the aviation industry are in the management side. So I've heard anywhere from 3 to 5% of the jobs are pilots and the rest are within the management end of it.
I'd say that's even lower. Like,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
probably
is it like
3
2%?
to 2 or
Probably.
3.
2 or 3, yeah. So there's a tremendous amount of opportunity out there for
And
folks.
there's a lot of demand because all the good managers they're getting up there in
Yeah.
age and they're
Yeah.
retiring, and it's like, well, we need to push more
Exactly.
new people.
Exactly.
It's like what I'm looking to do is it's all the people that are experienced are getting up there in age. It's like, well, you don't think, oh yeah, I want to be the person that's sifting through airplane wreckage, saying,
Yeah.
what happened?
Right.
How am I gonna fix? How are we gonna
Right.
fix this?
Not a lot of people want to be the
Yeah.
first ones on site dealing
Oh,
with
no.
that
Yeah.
Yeah.
horrific scene.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That sounds
'Cause
pretty
that
terrible.
takes a strong stomach.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds
oh
pretty
yeah,
terrible.
the black
yeah.
boxes are awful. I've listened. There's a website online where you can listen to them.
Ugh.
That's not.
Yeah, I'm like,
it's more upbeat. Come on.
so yeah, I mean, safety is one area, but there are a lot of other areas that are like, probably not as stressful within
Yeah.
aviation management. Logistics is one area that's, growing and it's really popular. So yeah, within aviation management, there are tons of jobs. And that's one thing that we want to look at too at Delta State is what do careers look like in the future? Because we need to offer degree programs to for careers that are going to be in demand. So it's not just what's in demand now, it's what does the future look
You're
like?
prepping for the future.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
mean, it takes a while for something to grow and expand to a point where it's self-sustaining, so to speak.
Right.
So if you try and plan for something that's
Yeah.
popular now, by
Right.
the time it gets to the point where it's at its biggest and self-sustaining stance, it's
Exactly.
already going to be phased out pretty much.
Exactly. Yeah.
So are you guys kind of
Yeah.
looking at unmanned aerial
Yeah,
systems?
unmanned aerial and electric. And
Yeah, those are all things that I think would be fantastic for us to pursue. I've reviewed our undergraduate catalogs this summer to look at all the different degrees that we offer within the College of Business and Aviation, and it actually lists that we have a Bachelor of Applied Science in Aviation Management with a concentration in unmanned aerial
Really?
something.
Ooh,
Yes.
wow.
Now, it lists that. I don't know that we have any students who have started the program. I'm not sure what courses were in the program because I couldn't find the academic map that would accompany that. That was something that Dr. Harbin was
that is
checking
still
on.
So cool.
I know. Yeah, so I think things like that. I don't know, just because I found it, I hope that it's something that we will be able to offer. And I hope that the leadership of Delta State sees, the future when we think about the programs that we offer, because we can't just look at, oh, this is what we have, this is what we've always had, this is where we need to stay. You get stagnant, and others,
need to adapt.
yeah, yeah.
Proactive instead of reactive.
Absolutely. In all of our
Safety.
programs across campus. So, I hope that our leaders will, have a strategic vision when they think about the programs that we offer. Higher ed is just always, across the board, it's not just at Delta State, but it's it's hierarchical. There are so many procedures and steps and this, that, and the other, and it's hard to implement change. And it's hard to be lean and make quick changes that you need to in most industries. So that's why we see a lot of these for-profit universities that kind of pop up things overnight, and they can offer, whatever. They don't have all the steps to go through that we
All the
do. So
government bureaucracy.
yeah, they
It's
don't
not
have.
moving
Yeah.
an act
Yeah.
of Congress to get anything done.
Exactly. And it gives them an advantage because you look at like Liberty, for example.
Yes,
They've grown. I think they have like 70,000 students, and most of them are online. But they've looked for opportunities in the marketplace, and they've pursued those, and they've done it in a quick, what.
They hit those niches immediately.
Exactly. They see what's coming in the future, and they pursue that. Now, there are definitely arguments for the validity of programs and things like that, and I wouldn't get into that. But there's got to be some in between at schools like state schools like Delta State, where we have to follow all the protocol of adding new programs and new courses. However, we need to be mindful of what the future looks like, because that's how you grow enrollment, is that you offer programs that people are interested in, and programs where your students can graduate and get jobs.
Yes.
Because what good does a degree mean
It
if you
doesn't get a job.
yeah. If I'm going to go work at Walmart checking out people with an MBA, then it's not doing me any good.
Absolutely.
So, unless that's my goal, and that's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with working at Walmart; it's a good company. But I just mean like
Walmart corporate. or
wanna-
something
Only if
like
you
that.
choose
You want
to.
be able to provide your students a way of hitting their goals and dreams.
Exactly.
No matter how big or small they
Exactly,
are.
yeah.
You don't want to provide a degree that's not going to help them reach that
Right.
dream or goal.
Exactly. Because no shade to Walmart.
No.
It's a good
Hey,
company.
one
I'm from
of-
Arkansas.
One of his best friends
Yeah.
is a cart pusher at Walmart right
That's
now.
great.
Just don't get a degree in dancing. That's my motto.
Is that your motto? And every degree offers, there are positives to everything, and it's great that we have the arts, and things like that. So I don't mean to bash that, but I do think we need to really consider what we offer and what it's going to mean for our students in the long run.
Talking about strictly online classes,
Yeah.
strictly online flight outs class would be the UAV class.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
The unmanned, yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just okay.
That would be a good.
Yeah.
Time for me to log into my airplane. All right, let's fly it. Here we go.
Well,
We're
and
going down the runway.
I say that today, like, flight ops could never be online, but who knows with
Yes, sir.
AI and with, all the
Give it 30
technology that's out there.
years
Yeah,
and-
10 years from now, we may look back and be like, oh, that's hilarious. She said it would never be online, and every, flight ops program is now online.
Well, from what I'm hearing, unless the Oculus gets a lot better
Yeah.
within 10 years, we're going to have to stay in the cockpit.
Well,
Yeah.
For better or
Yeah.
for worse?
I mean,
I say for better.
I like the idea of you guys actually being in the cockpit.
Yeah.
Like, that makes me
I
feel a
think
little bit
everyone-
better.
I think everyone
Yes,
agrees with
our
that.
life
Yeah.
is on the line with
Yeah,
you. Yes.
yeah.
Because there's always the risk of, what
Yeah.
if you have power failure? What if you
Yeah.
get hacked? It's
Yeah.
like,
Circuit
well,
breaker
Yeah.
pops and
Boom.
That's
Yeah.
the one circuit breaker that can't pop.
The
There-
only
yeah.
circuit breaker.
There are definitely disciplines that lend themselves more to in person.
I keep telling people,
Yeah.
like, what happens in an emergency where you need these quick action things? And what if there's like, a fire, and
Yeah.
there's a cable and there's like a wire that's there's a wire that's burned,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
done.
What do you do? Yeah.
There's a smoldering wreckage
Yeah.
field.
I was curious about the online classes
Yeah.
because I've heard a lot of. It could be still hearsay right now, but I've heard they're trying to kind of implement a lot of hybrid classes
Yeah.
for flight operations just to kind of open up more flight slot time.
Okay, I do not know about that, but I think that sounds great. And so I know Colonel McNeely would be the one behind that. All that I know about the online stuff is that we have discussed the aviation management program,
Okay.
offering that online so that we could pursue students anywhere in that program.
And
Now,
be able to hit. a wider-
exactly. Like, you can, all of a sudden, students don't have to be here; they could be anywhere.
Jeffrey, you can go back to Orlando.
No,
I'm good.
no.
I am good.
But I don't know. I mean, there's a long road for us to make that happen. As far as flight ops goes, I just haven't been privy to these conversations. But
Yes,
I
ma'am.
hope that they work out things so that everybody's able to get their hours.
I just hope they send the night classes online,
Oh,
Yeah.
Those are
those night
brutal.
classes are brutal.
especially when you have 8 a.m.s.
Yeah,
Oh,
6
the
to
next,
9.
the
Oh.
next day.
It's a 6 p.m. to a 9 p.m. class,
Yeah.
and then next day they got 8 a.m.s.
And then
Oh.
you have, if God forbid you have homework to do after
Yeah.
that, it's like I have to wake up at 8 in the morning, and
That's
it's
tough.
11 o'clock, and I'm still writing a paper.
Do y'all stay the whole time? I probably shouldn't ask this.
Yes.
ma'am.
Yes. Okay.
I would say 95 to
Okay, don't tell me. Don't tell me.
about 90 to 95% of the time we get out.
Yeah.
Or we get out on time. And
Yeah.
There's the occasional.
Especially at this time in the semester, yeah.
Yeah.
Towards the beginning, it was kind of a little less, but
Yeah.
now that we're fully into things, absolutely.
You've got a lot to
Don't throw
cover.
Sean Kelly
Yeah.
under the bus.
Well, you just mentioned his name. He could have been talking about any class.
He's only got one night class.
They don't
The
know
audience
that.
doesn't know that.
But moving on real quick.
Yeah, I don't want to get anybody in trouble. So I'm glad he
Uh-oh.
keeps you the whole time.
So you're the graduate program coordinator
Uh-huh.
for our entire department. That would be the commercial aviation and
Yeah.
business side.
Yeah.
That includes the MBA, Masters in Business
Uh-huh.
Administration. The IMBA?
Yeah, it's the integrated MBA.
Integrated. So
Yeah.
what does that mean?
So that is a very cool program. That's actually the largest like master's program in the College of Business and Aviation. It is just like an MBA, so just like your Master of Business Administration, except it's integrated. So the I stands for integrated.
Okay.
It's fully online. We have like 108, 109 students in the program right now.
Really?
Yeah, and the reason that we call it the integrated MBA is that classes are team taught. So in the fall, you can start any semester, but in the fall we offer what's called the financial strategy module. It's a 3-course module. In the spring you have a concentration module, which is a 4-course module. And we have 6 concentrations within the program. So you pick a concentration. And then in the summer there's the operational strategy module, and it's a 3-course module. And the way that it works is all 3 or 4 of those classes are delivered through one Canvas course shell. So they show up like you're in one
Oh.
class, and your teachers rotate content. So
Oh,
yeah,
really?
you may spend a few weeks
Interesting.
on one class, and then you move on to the next, and so on. And then at the end of the semester, you have a project that integrates material from all 3 or 4 of those
Oh.
classes.
It's kind of it's a flowing strategy.
Yes. It
sounds
where you're
good in
flowing from
practice.
one.
It's
How
fantastic.
does it work real life wise?
Yeah.
So it is actually fantastic. Students love it. We have a lot of students who start in our traditional MBA program and then they want to swap over to the IMBA. The reason it's so good, I mean, you're covering, it's the same classes, right? Like it's not different classes that you would take in the traditional MBA. It's offered in a different way. What's good about it is you can focus on one thing at a time. So you're never going to have homework from all 3 classes at once. Do it
Oh,
once.
Sold.
Yeah.
I'm sold.
So
Give me
it
that
is.
class.
Yeah, that
I know.
sounds great.
It's intense, but if you focus on the task at hand and you stay focused
And if
throughout
you
the
stay
semester,
flowing with the stream, you'll
exactly. Stay flowing with the stream, stay focused, stay on top of things, you're fine. You're never going to have all these things due at once. Most of the students who are in that program are working professionals, so they have big jobs, but they're able to handle a large load of graduate classes because they can focus on that one thing at a time. So it has been a fantastic program. Dean Moore, who retired just this last year, was the MBA coordinator prior to being the dean, and he is, I think, we credit him with creating the program. He saw it at some other places or saw something similar, and he kind of took what he saw and created this. But it's been a fantastic program. We, every year for the last few years, we've been named as one of the top online MBA programs in the U.S. News and World Reports list.
Really?
That's
Yes.
amazing.
Did not know that.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Fortune, like Fortune.com, they've listed us as one of the top online MBA programs as well.
Really?
And again, it's affordable. So every degree program at Delta State, that's one of the beautiful things about aviation, is that we offer this fantastic value. The price is less than others, but you leave
Yeah.
with more
Out
ratings.
of state tuition.
No out-of-state tuition.
Yeah.
And even things like our international students, they only pay an extra $500 per semester in international student fees. Other universities charge 3 times the tuition. So
Really?
yes.
There's
so,
a fee
So-
for international students?
Now I see why
Yeah.
Elida came here.
yeah, so it's a really good deal. And Delta State, I mean, we offer, we don't ever want to say we're cheap. We're not cheap, but we offer a really good
Affordable.
value. We're
We're
affordable.
not cheap.
We offer a
affordable.
great value. And our programs are accredited and everything else. So it's
We're not sticking you on a boat and sending you off into uncharted waters.
not at all, not at all.
We're the Walmart of colleges.
We're the Walmart.
I would
Let's
say
do- let's
Walmart.
affordable.
We're the
affordable,
Target.
Let's go Target.
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 We're the Target. Yes,
That
of
was
higher
actually
ed.
one of our biggest selling points this year
Was
at
it?
Oshkosh.
Okay.
I know
Yes.
you were kind of on that team
Yeah,
helping us get
yeah.
there. That was our biggest selling point to a lot of
Yeah,
students or
yeah.
prospective students.
Right,
And
right.
From what I've heard, we're actually starting to see results
That's
finally.
fantastic.
We are finally starting
from
to get the
Student or
Good.
high school students
Yeah.
getting tours of the facilities.
Yeah.
Or signing up or
Yeah.
RSVPing for the
I
open
love
hangar
that.
that comes
yeah,
up.
or showing up
spring.
at like open house or something like that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and we've worked really hard. That's one thing that Dr. Harbin, she's our new interim dean, she's put together recruiting teams for the university. So we have recruiting teams in aviation, in our management, marketing, and business administration office, and in accounting, CIS, and finance. And I mean, they are hitting the road recruiting actively, trying to get students to come to Delta State and just to tell students about the value that we offer, because so many people have no idea about Delta State and all the great things that we offer. So we've got to do a better job of telling the story.
I remember.
Yeah.
I remember in high school, I told the other guys in my class, like, hey, I think I'm gonna go to Delta State, and they're like, where's that?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
in Cleveland,
yeah.
Mississippi.
Where's
Yeah.
that?
Where's
Where's
that?
that?
Yeah.
I like how
Central Mississippi.
Where's that?
Where's Mississippi?
Okay.
Yeah.
I kind of understand. It's like,
Yeah.
well, they're one of the least expensive aviation schools around. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one of my
It's like
favorite
there's
things.
no aviation
Yeah.
schools in Arkansas,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's just this is the closest thing,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
didn't want to go back home to Florida.
Wanting to fly
yeah.
in Arkansas actually kind of sounds iffy.
'Cause
With all
the
those
mountains.
The
mountains.
mountains. I forgot you were at Subiaco. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's all coming back to me.
Yeah, I think one
Yeah.
of my favorite things at our local Walmart here is, have you seen the shirts that says "Where the heck is Cleveland,
No.
Mississippi"? And it's got a little star just pinpointed right
That's
where
great.
Cleveland is.
I love
We're
it.
right there.
That's great. But yeah, so the recruiting efforts that y'all did and that we did, and these are so important because we've got to tell the story of DSU so that people know, like, because all these people who've never heard of it, they need to hear about it. They need to hear how great it is and all the great things that we offer just to help grow enrollment. And just this year over last year, enrollment within the College of Business and Aviation as a whole, like when you compare our graduate and undergraduate degrees, we're up 8% over last
Really?
year.
That's
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah. So just within the College of Business and Aviation, and that really speaks to the efforts of you guys going to Oshkosh. And
Oh, we talk people's ears
yeah.
off.
Oh, yeah. And there's
But
no.
it was fun. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Is it wasn't like it was annoying. Like, oh yeah, we need to talk to that person.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Guys,
It was
come over, we have a
organic.
Cool Cirrus. You
Yeah,
wanna see it? You
yeah.
wanna talk?
Well, and there's no better
the
Plucky
person.
planes.
The
Oh,
planes are
that's
so
fun.
nice.
Everyone
stress
loved
ball
the
plane.
foam
Oh, the
plane.
stress ball planes. I love
We
those.
would get
Yeah.
people would see the
Yeah.
plane on the table and they'd haul tail right to us.
They wanna
Like,
come
can I
get
get
it.
one
It
for
was
my
funny.
kids?
Did y'all bring the okra mascot?
We did not. We
did
tried.
not.
We had
Oh, that would be so
like
good.
it was our map of course map, and it had okra on it. It's like,
I
is
love
this
That
a
was
sticker?
the first thing
That's
to
cute.
go. And
Yeah.
next year when we hopefully go back to Oshkosh, there's so many things that now that we've gotten that input, we
Yeah.
need to bring like
Yeah.
stickers and,
Yeah.
and more foam planes and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Pencils,
Yeah. Yeah.
And shade.
Yeah,
Shade.
and shade.
Y'all had a
Well,
tent though, right?
We did, but the with
plane.
how the
How our
the
pavilion
plot of
worked.
Oh,
land
yeah.
was set
Yeah, yeah,
up, the tent had to be in front of the plane,
Yeah.
and so the plane wasn't under the tent.
Okay, I gotcha.
I got so sunburned at one point from my sock. My
Oh, no.
shins and calves were pink,
Yeah.
and it looked like my foot was stepping in white paint.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It did.
It was bad.
That
It was
sounds.
bad.
I
That
actually-
sounds
we had
terrible.
I
so
started
much
bubbling
fun.
up.
I love that. Oh, I hate
Oh,
that,
and
but
I
I'm glad y'all had fun.
I got blisters on my feet so bad. I walked probably
Oh.
I think it was my watch said I walked 63 total miles that week.
Oh my
It's like-
gosh.
Yeah.
I had
Oh.
If we go
That's
next year, we'd
wild.
love to take
I-
some of the administration. Even
I would
even
love
if
to
it's
go.
out for
It's
a
a
day.
blast.
I would love to go. Yeah.
I cannot recommend it high enough.
Yeah.
Just bring sunscreen and water bottles.
Sunscreen and
good
shoes. Yeah, shoes.
Good
And no turkey
shoes.
water.
So we
No
need to
turkey
get.
water.
We,
That was awful.
what is a
Turkey
turkey water?
So we had an ice chest full of
no.
ice and everything, and
Oh, no.
someone had forgotten to shut the lunch meat box
Yeah.
completely, and it
That's gross.
Seeped
It
turkey
seeped
water into the potable
turkey
water.
into the
That's
ice
disgusting.
chest that had melted water and everything.
Oh,
I
Over
God.
the
melted ice.
course of a week.
I bet that
So
smelled
it
fantastic.
smelled like
Oh, one of our
turkey.
instructors was saying, "Oh, we should make some slushies out of it and sell
That's
turkey
awesome.
sandwich slushies."
Yeah. That is awesome.
That's disgusting.
I
But-
approve.
Somebody would like it.
It
People
was-
like weird
there's
stuff.
Add a
niche
little
market
mustard
again.
to it.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
No,
Someone's gonna
no.
somebody's gonna like that. There's so much weird stuff out there. Like,
I don't
yeah.
think we want those
cheese
people
and
coming
Yeah,
to
we
our
don't want
town.
them.
Water.
No. And
Not
so,
easy cheese.
run us through the rest of the graduate programs you have. You've got
Yeah.
the Masters of Commercial Aviation.
Yes.
And
We have The MPAC. So
That one.
that's the Masters of Professional Accountancy.
Okay.
So students generally in that program, students need to have a degree, an undergraduate degree in accounting to get into the program.
Is it just holding people accountable?
It's holding. Wait, I want to hit the table, but I've been told not to. So, but yes, so it's just holding people accountable. No, so generally students who have an accounting degree or they've had a lot of accounting classes, they can get into that program. But it's a really great program. It's completely online. So yeah, they can be anywhere and pursue that degree. Our accounting students are that's another discipline where students are so in demand. So we have accounting firms recruiting on campus like all the time. Like last week we had, I think, 2 different firms
Really?
come by to visit with our students. And then another firm last week reached out about wanting to come talk. So
Wow.
there are not enough accountants in the marketplace. If you
Well,
have a
they're
degree,
all the ones that are currently there are so old.
when you say so old, like what do you think old
I'm
is?
thinking like
Oh.
retirement age.
Because if you say
What's
my
retirement
age,
age?
Yeah.
That
You-
depends. It
you've-
depends on
you've-
the firm.
You've
Okay.
thrown yourself into
Yeah.
the fire.
Yeah, let's just do the aviation retirement age
65.
of 65.
okay, good. Fair enough. Fair
That's
enough.
kind of what I was
Okay.
going for.
Okay, good. Okay, so, but yeah, so there are a lot.
What was that?
Here you go.
Oh, thank you. So sorry. I took my bracelet off because it was loud. So yeah, accountants are another. They can get jobs easily. So when they graduate, they're usually able to obtain a job, and then now they can kind of come back and get their MPAC online while they're working. So that's a good program. And then our traditional MBA program is also a great one. It is a mixture of online and in-person classes. A lot of students who are in that program are international students because they qualify for an F1 visa in that program, which just means they have to take, for graduate programs, they have to have 6 hours in person each semester. So, yeah. So that's a good program that we have as well. And those are our 4, master's programs within
Okay.
the College of Business and
Can you
Aviation.
tell us a little bit more about the commercial aviation?
Yeah.
The graduate.
So
Master's.
the Masters of Commercial Aviation, we call that the MCA degree. It's a 30-hour degree program, which is 10 courses. They're 3-hour courses. It's fully online, so that's another great program. We have a lot of pilots that are in the program, but you don't have to be a pilot to get into the program. So you could have a degree, an undergraduate degree in anything. So you don't even have to have an aviation management degree. If you think that you want to work in the aviation industry, and there are so many jobs in that field that we discussed, you can apply to, you're eligible to get into the program. So students can complete the degree in as little as 1 year. However, most of the students take a little longer because most of our students in that program have full-time jobs.
I know
So
a couple of our flight instructors
Yeah.
actually do them are instructing at the same time as
Yes.
doing their master's, so they're
yeah,
typically doing 1 or 2 classes. I
yeah,
know
yeah.
my old instructor, he was doing 1 class at a time,
Yeah,
just because
yeah.
it's such a workload.
It's a big workload, and yeah, when I know like the pilots and the flight instructors, y'all work so many hours.
It's-
So
They're allowed 12 hours a day, I think.
oh wow, yeah. So that's tough. So
7
yeah,
to 7.
yeah. With people like that, we really encourage them to start slow. Like take a class each semester, see how it is. If you feel like you can take more, then you can do that.
And stack on a little bit more.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But don't ever jump into any graduate program taking on more than you can
Yes,
handle,
ma'am.
right? Because you set yourself up for failure. And that's one thing about any graduate program at any school is there's going to be a GPA minimum that you need to graduate. At Delta State, you have to have a 3.0 or
really?
higher to graduate with your master's degree. Yeah.
Really?
So yeah, so when we work with students on their schedules, like if I see a student that maybe struggled in undergrad, and they come in and they want to take like 4 classes in a graduate, I really am like, okay, why don't let's back
start with
up.
2.
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
Pull back a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's start with
So
Let's
and-
do 6.
yeah, let's go 6.
Let's
yeah.
not 10. They could knock
So,
it all one semester.
Yeah, no, they would lose their minds. But yeah, I mean, because we don't ever want to set anybody up for failure.
No,
like
there's
we
no
want,
point. You want to
yeah,
see the fruits of your effort.
Yeah, you
Exactly,
wanna see,
exactly.
You want to see it blossom. You don't want to
Yeah.
see it burn and crash.
Exactly. And with the master's program, I mean, we want every student to graduate, and we would not admit you if we didn't think you had the capacity to finish.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
so I kind of see that as my job to help. An advisor not only tells you what classes to take, like I'm there for advice. So I'll give you an honest opinion, like I don't think you should take these 2 classes together. They're 2 very hard classes. You know what I mean? Or like I think you need to divide this up or whatever it may be.
So, what would be the process if someone didn't have the 3.0 in the graduate program, and how would they go about either bringing
Yeah.
that up, or how would they go about getting the
Fixing
chance
it,
to
yeah.
graduate?
Yeah, and so that happens. It doesn't happen very often. It used to happen a lot more often, and I have started to be very intentional about communicating that policy to students. So from the moment they're admitted to the program, and every semester when I send them their program of study along with their pen to sign up for classes, I like have in highlighted yellow, like, don't forget you have to have
You need a
3.0. And I even go so far to, like, if I have a student that's like right out of 3.0, I'm like, hey, you've got to make all B's and A's this semester to graduate. Don't forget, so I try to remind them. And that has really helped, but because I think just having the knowledge of this policy helps motivate students, right? But when, in the few cases that students don't have that 3.0, then they would have to continue the program until they got their grade point up.
Wow.
Now, within our graduate programs at Delta State, we have a policy where we can replace up to 2 grades. So if you were having to, like, say you had 2 C's and you needed to get those up to A's to get your GPA to where it needed
You
to
could
be.
retake those classes.
Yes, and then you, at the end of the semester, you submit a grade replacement form, and then those C's remain on your transcript. They're removed from your GPA.
Okay.
So,
Okay, that's
yeah,
nice.
yeah,
So
we
it's
don't
on
offer
your
that.
It's on your
Yeah.
history, but it
Exactly.
doesn't affect. It's
It-
almost like a W.
Exactly, exactly. Now, we don't offer that for our undergraduate programs. Sorry. So maybe that'll change one day. I'm
That
not
would be
sure.
nice.
A
Yeah,
W's
I
a
know.
win for me.
Yeah, yeah. A W's a win. Yeah, I used to say D is for diploma in undergrad, and that's how bad of a student I was. So
get
it was
degrees.
bad. C's get degrees, all those things. Not in grad school though. In grad school, you want to try to maintain A's.
A is average.
A is where
is
you want to be. And one thing, and it's crazy because so much changes, right? So my 18-year-old self didn't think anybody would ever look at my transcript and it wouldn't ever matter. And then I'm not going to say how old I am now, but it's like mortifying that people have my transcript from when I was 18 years old and I was a terrible student. So in graduate programs, I was great, but I was much more serious at that point. But I don't know. These are all things that I really wish I would have known. And I probably didn't. I don't know. You just don't know what you don't know. And so, yeah, I try to encourage students when they get into the grad programs, don't just get by. Like, do the best that you can do, because you can list that GPA on your resume. And it looks really good to have a 4.0 coming out of an MBA or an MCA program and to have that listed on your resume. And it can happen. So,
Yeah, that 4.0.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
trying the best I
Your
can. I
master's
only have
and
a
your-
3.6.
yeah, so yeah, I finished both my master's and PhD with a 4.0. And I mean, literally, like, I was the worst student in undergrad that you've ever met in your entire life. Like, I had friends that would come pick me up on the way to class in the morning just to get me to go. Like, that's how bad it was. So
Sounds like
I've
you
been
dragged
all
someone
over the
out of
world.
bed.
Yeah.
So, but that's why, honestly, too, I think that helps me to be empathetic with students, because I get where they are sometimes. And when you're just burnt out and you just don't think you care.
Done.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many professors who are so smart and they can't relate. And I can get down to that level because I've been there. So, yeah.
Yes, so I know you said right now we're at 23.8% increase on graduates or any students
In the College of
particular-
Business and Aviation,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah.
So what are your plans for continuing that trend upwards and
Yeah.
even retaining them? Because I know
That's
sometimes that's the hardest thing.
Gosh, retention is so important, because you can recruit all these students to your program, but if you can't keep them, then what does it matter, right? And that just looks really bad, and for a lot of reasons. So for our plans, and this is something that I've worked with Dr. Harbin a lot on. We worked this summer on creating a strategic plan, and part of that was to have these recruiting teams within the colleges, the college of within the divisions. So each division has a recruiting team. They go out, they hit the road. We have ordered tons of promotional materials. We have ordered rack cards, like a
Oh, yes,
brochure
ma'am.
that we have for every single program that we offer.
Oh.
Because, like, if we want to have something to give you that has a QR code that links you to
It's
the
like a business
website,
card.
Yeah.
absolutely. So we've used social media and digital media to better market our programs. But so I'm a marketing professor, so this is kind of my fun thing to talk about. So social media, all those things are really important, but the most effective method of marketing is personal selling. And so going out and talking to people like you guys did at Oshkosh, and like our teams, like right now we have faculty who are at Bioacademy for their college fair, and they're talking to students, tonight about coming to Delta State and about the different degrees that we offer. That is the most effective method of marketing that you have. And so we're going to continue to push our faculty, and then also, like, reward them. We want to celebrate our small victories. So we're constantly sending out information to our faculty, like, great job.
Yes.
These are the accomplishments that we've done this month, and these are our
Recognition
numbers.
goes a
Yes,
long,
yes.
One thing is,
Absolutely.
I know that like social media, it's just like, oh, I'm just scrolling through. Oh, Delta say, oh, let's scroll through. And-
Yeah,
But
yeah.
when you have someone coming up to you, can't like, you
Yeah.
can't, it's not as
Scroll.
easy to.
Yeah.
Swipe left,
So-
swipe left, swipe left.
Yeah, social media is
Not
really good,
interested.
and you kind of mentioned before people had not heard of Delta State. Social media is great for awareness, but to really drive a decision, it's hard to get somebody to commit to going to school somewhere based on a social media ad. However, if the folks at Oshkosh had seen our ads before and then they see you, they're like, oh, I've been seeing your
Yeah,
ads.
kinda
I've
drives
heard
it
of you
home.
guys.
Exactly. So it all works together. I mean, marketing, it has to be integrated, and you have to use different methods. Also the brochures, the rack card to give them something to remember you by. Those are all things that are important. The little okra mascot, if we need to get him in a
Oh,
captain's
The
outfit.
I would
best
love
ad
that.
I
love
have
that.
seen is the Fighting Okra ads.
I love
Where
them.
he
Yeah.
throws
Yes.
an alligator in the pool.
Oh, they're so funny. Yeah.
Tases.
We need to do more of those. That
Well,
They
and
had
those are
one for
organic.
aviation. What
Yeah.
Yes,
was it?
he
Yeah.
tased someone and pulled out the air marshal badge.
Yeah. There are so many good ones, and we could continue to create those.
Yeah, we
and
just-
those
We need more of those. Those
Yeah.
are
I
perfect.
Those are
remember
perfect.
Oh, they're
one of the
great.
first things
Yeah.
we did when we got Dr. Harbin,
Uh-huh.
the first things we learned was her and the
Yeah.
okra, and her bag got stolen on the little ad, and then she
Yeah.
sprinted after him.
she was a Division I college sprinter.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
an SEC
The
school.
okra
Like
head is.
that's impressive. And the okra. I mean, not the okra. The burglar in that video was one of our quarterbacks. So, yeah, he had his face covered up, but it was
That's funny.
Cole Kirk. But you mentioned retention earlier, and I didn't really address that. I talked about the recruiting end of it, but retention is something that's so important to us. There are a lot of things that we want to do to help improve retention, and our retention rates have varied over the years. So some years they're up, some years they're down. There's no consistent trend that I've seen in the data. But some of the things that we're trying to do and that we've implemented this year, one thing is an orientation. So every new student in the College of Business and Aviation is required to attend an orientation. And in that orientation session, did you go to that? Or
Is it like the orientation at the beginning of the semester, or is it like the
Separate.
open hangar type thing?
totally separate. So this
I
is something.
completely missed the orientation.
Were you new this year?
No, I was
Okay.
new
No,
last year.
the first one happened.
We just
this
started
year.
it. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
that's
I
why.
remember. I
We all
remember some
came
of my
in,
younger,
Yeah.
some
I
of
was
the
about to say.
guys and girls
Yeah.
that I'm with. That
We
like,
came
oh,
in
we need to go
last
to
fall.
this.
Okay, so we just started it this fall, and it's every new student is required to attend. So any student who was new, we created. I'll tell you about this, but we created a Canvas module too. But we required those students to come in. We had most of our faculty and staff there so that they could meet these students. We explained things like, hey, you have access to tutor.com, which is 24-hour, 7-day-a-week tutoring. This is how you do this. This is how you meet your advisor. All these different things to explain to them the processes and how to succeed, in college. And I think that was really helpful. And the students, we offered them on 3 different days, and the students stuck around and they asked questions and they visited with our faculty members. But I think it was good for them to have a face to a name. We also started doing that with our IMBA program.
Really?
So now, they're all online, but
Kind of like a Zoom
every
call.
time we admit, do what?
Kind of like a Zoom call or something like that.
Yes, exactly. So every time we admit a new student, I'll send them their schedule and say, we have an admin assistant, and she's actually in our IMBA program, so she can
Oh,
really
really?
explain it. Yeah. I'll link them together. They set up a Zoom meeting, and Elizabeth walks those students through, this is how you use Canvas. Because you got to think, some of these
Oh, I
IMBA
had
students,
no
I've
idea.
never used Canvas.
yeah, they've never used it.
I
We had,
used Moodle a
Yeah.
lot before.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
had never touched
Yeah.
Canvas.
I use Google Classroom.
y'all, we
That's
had
what
a
I
lady a
use.
few years ago. She was 67 years old, and she came back to finish her MBA. She had never taken an online class, but she did it. But imagine, yeah.
One
I
of our,
use Schoology
One of
and-
our current students
Wow.
right now,
Uh-huh.
I believe is 65 or 67.
Wow.
She's a resident in Foundation. She's so sweet.
I
And
love that.
It's unique and
Yeah.
an interesting chance to help her
I
along.
love that. I might have had her in our FYS class.
Um,
I don't say
wait.
the name, but yeah.
No, this is a different person.
A different person,
But
okay.
I know who exactly
Yeah,
you're talking
yeah,
about.
yeah. I love her. But that's a great situation for students to be able to learn from somebody else. But yeah, so the Zoom. Are you on to talk? Sorry, I keep
It's fine.
interrupting. I'm really a talker. I'm sorry.
That Class A personality.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the Zoom sessions we walk you through. This is how these are the things that you do online. This is where you find your turn these alerts on. Download the app on your phone. All the things that they need to know to be successful. What to expect. How the classes are taught. Things like that. It's just helpful to know. And then the third thing that we've done recently in terms of retention is, this is something that I've done for years with graduate students, but we've created a module in Canvas for our new College of Business and Aviation students. I'm going to add y'all soon, but I haven't done it yet.
Okay.
But that module includes all this helpful information. So how to drop a class, how to
Okay.
find an academic calendar so you know the important dates. And we post things too, like, hey, October 20th is your last day to drop classes with a W. Like, we remind students, hey, this is the last day you can apply to graduate. Things like that.
That panic set in for me.
Yeah, so it's
missing
coming
3
up
weeks
if you
of
need
class.
oh gosh. But yeah, so things like
Check
that.
that date.
I think sometimes it's like the little things and the human connections that help students stay. And if they can put a face to a name and they have someone they can ask questions to, that really helps.
This is just an idea that just popped into my mind. Maybe this podcast itself would be a good way to get to know, especially with the aviation students, who you're dealing with.
That was actually
Yeah.
the brainchild for
Yeah.
this.
Who was?
That was the
Yeah.
whole thought
Oh, I love
process
that.
for this was
Yeah.
getting to know, we've got like Mr. Sean Kelly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I told you this before. Nobody really knew him because
Yeah.
he joined us in February.
Yeah.
And someone had talked to me about afterwards, after we got his videos posted,
Yeah.
and he was like, I didn't know anything about the man.
Yeah.
I just knew he came
Yeah.
in and he was a manager.
Yeah.
But now that I know about him, I know his background,
Yeah.
I know the certifications and everything he has,
It's so impressive. Yeah.
he's going to be good for it. How good
Yeah.
is he going to be for
Oh my
us?
God.
It's amazing.
Incredible. Yeah. And even Colonel McNeely and all the
Yes.
experiences he's had and gosh, he knows Tammy Duckworth. Like, all these things are so cool to learn. And I didn't know that stuff either. And I'm their colleague. So I love the podcast idea. I think it's a really good
I
opportunity.
didn't mean to interrupt you.
You're good. You're
And-
good.
and
No,
I
it
know you've
actually
been
was
one.
beneficial.
I know when I showed up to the school, it's like, what am I doing? I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But what am I
eventually.
doing?
What
Yeah.
am I doing with my life currently?
Right. And so I think anything like that where we can like reduce that, and make it more
Yes.
comfortable for students,
A-
I think
A
that helps.
smooth transition from high school
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
even
Right.
undergraduate
Right.
somewhere else to
Right.
our undergraduate
Right.
or graduate.
Right.
Some people are
Studies.
just shy
Yeah.
when they first get here. It's
Yeah.
like college is a whole new experience.
Yeah.
And it's so overwhelming.
Yeah.
Kind of being like, hey, what's up? I'm
Yeah.
so and
Yes.
how can I help you? Do you have
Yes.
any questions?
Yeah.
Where do you live? Or
Yeah.
what classes do you have? Or
So
Just relating.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that was one of the things too that I forgot to mention. In the orientation, we had every student organization within the College of Business and Aviation represented there, so they could tell. Or we were supposed to. Were y'all missing some? No, we had a bunch of
Alpha Eta
aviation.
Rho was there?
They were supposed to all be there. We had a bunch of student groups there. I'll have to get
we
back
have
to you.
We have quite a few groups here. So,
So we
Yeah.
were supposed to have, each division was supposed to have representatives from all of their clubs and organizations. I know that we had a lot. I hope that we had all of them. But they were there to talk to students about, hey, this is how you can get involved. Because one thing that we've learned from data is that students are less likely to leave when they're involved on campus.
Yes.
So retention rates are so much lower when students.
You pay so much money. You're not going to get that back.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
You don't want to see
It's a
them
90.
bored. Oh,
Sorry.
you don't want to see them bored in the room, just
Yeah.
slowly
Yeah.
dying.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because
Yeah, well-
that brings on, especially for people like I went to boarding school for 3 years, so
Yeah.
I've kind of been conditioned to
Yeah.
not think about homesickness. But
Yeah.
most of these people have never been away from home before. And
Yeah.
when you're sitting there in the room,
Mm-hmm.
that stuff comes up really quickly.
It's hard,
and
yeah.
really hard.
Yeah.
Reminds me of somebody back there.
Did you get homesick? Oh, you got homesick? Yeah. Well, from another country too. Like, I
Yes.
can't imagine.
But,
Yeah.
so right now I think we're running out of time.
I'm sorry. I talked too much.
Oh no.
No. This
This
is
is
great.
perfect.
This
We
is
need it.
very useful information.
Okay,
Better
good.
than
But,
ending it early.
So one thing we like to ask our
Yeah.
guests is, what is your favorite aircraft and why?
I know you're not.
Yeah.
I know you're not an aviation
So,
person.
I think the
but
first time you mentioned this, you said my favorite plane, and I said a plain pizza. No, my favorite aircraft. Well, I don't. Okay, so I'm not an aviation person, but I do love the new Cirrus.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
Awesome.
The thing I-
Good
luxury.
choice.
Oh,
Good
it's
choice.
so nice. And the thing that I really love about it is that it has
the chute, the
the parachute. Yeah,
emergency
so
arresting system.
yeah, because I've been in the flight simulators before and I can't land, and so
Okay.
to know
plan for you.
that you don't have
Well,
to,
Cause
yeah.
permanent
The thing-
airframe damage. Hey, we're on the ground.
When those parachutes can actually be very dangerous if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Well, I don't.
It'll just send you
You have
straight to the
be in
ground.
a certain
Okay.
window of time where you can actually pull that chute.
Well, I'm
Because
glad I
what
didn't know
happens is
that.
people go too fast, pull the chute, and like, wee!
Yeah, you
Oh.
flip.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I didn't know that. It made me feel safe and secure at the time. But yeah, also
Well,
like
in the simulator, you can still pull it anytime.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. In the
Real life,
simulator,
it's a lot different.
you know, I know the simulator's not real, but it felt so real, and I was like sweating. I was like, I could not handle a life in aviation behind the cockpit. So, but yeah, I love the Cirrus planes. I like a King Air. Just because of the 2 motors, it makes me feel a little safer.
Ooh, fancy.
Fancy. Yeah, and then I've never been on one, but I hear a Learjet's nice, so
Ooh. Classic. I guess.
maybe that'll be our
Expensive
next.
taste.
Yeah,
Very.
maybe that'll be our next university plane.
Hey,
Gold
I'm not
strip-
gonna.
Goals.
Goldstream G550.
Oh,
It's like,
I like
ooh.
it, yeah.
Well, the G6000s.
Yeah.
Or the Global
Global
6000.
6000s.
There
Yeah,
we go.
but Bombardier.
I
You
would
know what?
turn
I
down
need
one
my
of those.
private 737.
Yeah, they can
Oh,
fit.
yeah.
It's your Boeing
Yeah.
business jet 737-700 on that ramp.
But so I know we didn't
Yeah.
really hit everything, of course. So hopefully maybe we can get you back on
Yeah,
sometime.
absolutely.
That would be fantastic.
But anyway, thank you guys for joining us, and hope to see you again.
Bye, guys.
Bye.